The Christian Economist. The Christian Economist. Now remember, this is the Christian Economist, or the Christian Economist. This is not Christian Economist. This is the Christian Economist. Okay. Thou shalt not covet. Quote, thou shalt not covet anything that is thy neighbor's. Close quotes. Exodus 20:17, A and C. In other words, thou shalt not be such an idiot. Thou shalt not be such an idiot. Anything you notice that someone else has, you could have something better in that. You could have something that's more you. You know, you. We used to have a saying in urban America back in the 50s and 60s in the 20th century, quote, keeping up with the Joneses, close quotes. It meant people were vainly preoccupied with keeping up appearances and trying to make sure that they were not bested by their neighbors. When the founding fathers of the United States were thinking about all people being created equal, they may have failed to notice the great paradox. Not only do we have a modicum of equality that we may realize in this present existence if we put in a struggle for our unalienable rights. Unalienable rights. Pardon me if I have trouble pronouncing that. They may have had no problems with that in the 1700s, anyway. But also, in addition to having been created equal, we have been created to be unique as well. Okay? We have the right to not only be different, but we also have different abilities, different, quote, tools, unquote, for the unique job God intended for us to do. God was as good as issuing a basic commandment against conformity, mostly because it damages the capability of any society when it confines and constricts the unique capabilities and contributions of its constituents. Nothing does this damage better. Nothing is worse than covetousness. It's wrong to try to clone, in a manner of speaking, one's self to the attributes of another, when each has to realize, in any society, the best people are not going to be likenesses of their predecessors, but rather necessarily different. That is the power of the creative hand of God. Each comes into this life with an uniqueness. Let's take another look at the, quote, two masters, unquote, verses again, to see if we can get a further insight. No servant can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. Ye cannot serve God and mammon. And the Pharisees also, who were covetous, heard all these things, and they derided him. Close quotes, Luke 16:13 and 14. They weren't all covetous. There were some like Joseph of Arimathea and Nicodemus and others who were doing their best. But those Pharisees who were covetous derided Jesus because they had already shut God out of their hearts. That's why God gave us Jesus, his only begotten Son, knowing it would be certain death for Jesus to come here and give us the Word. That was the only human sacrifice, not as ritualists think of it, but the sacrifice was the most noble person, the King of Kings, dying for all in an act of sheer and utmost courage to save us all from the hell of the fallen angels. But you see what a predicament we can get into. It's foolish to be covetous, and foolishness can cause your heart to fret against the Lord. There's actually a verse of Scripture about that, quote, "The foolishness of man perverteth his way, and his heart fretteth against the Lord." Proverbs 19:3. This is why, among other things, a people or an individual is not prospered. The first step in receiving from the Lord, even before you send your prayers and petitions, is to get started by getting a clean heart, as the Psalms say. Quote, "Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me." Close quotes, Psalms 51:10. That's a wonderful psalm. Just hang on to that. Use that in prayer. You'll find a lot more when you just read for yourself, do your own study. Okay, this is why, among other things, a people or individual is not prospered. Remember Jesus' warning to us all. Quote, "And he said unto them, Take heed, and beware of covetousness, for a man's life consisteth not in the abundance of the things which he possesseth." Close quotes. Luke 12:15. So much for collectibles. Take a look at all the rest that warning entails in that chapter of Luke. There's a lot more, including more about laying up treasure and riches and not being truly rich toward God. Furthermore, the Lord warned, quote, "Take no thought for your life, what ye shall eat, neither for the body what ye shall put on. The life is more than meat, and the body is more than raiment." Close quotes. That's Luke 12:22 and 23.